Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's Lean Publishing Tip of the Day live stream, where I'm going to be talking about choosing a writing mode. Very close watchers of this will realize that I tried this a couple days ago, and it went badly. There was some kind of strange StreamYard issue where it just got cut off. It's the first time I've experienced that, so we had some technical difficulties and all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to do it again. Yeah, as usual, if you're just watching the recording of this video, which is what most people are going to be doing if they're watching this, please skip ahead to the 2-minute mark when we're done all the housekeeping and giving people a couple minutes to get time to get on board. As always, there is an accompanying blog post to every one of these lean publishing tips of the day. So if you need to drop off, if you want to come back to it later, you can find it on our blog on leanpub.com/blog. Just click the magnifying glass at the top right and search for the keywords if you don't see it there. If you want to watch more videos like this, they're all on our YouTube channel at Leanpub. Please like and subscribe and all that kind of stuff. You'll find other videos on our YouTube channel as well. As I always like to say, there's like launch videos, there's podcast videos. There should be a new podcast video coming out today with a really great best-selling Leanpub author named Alexei Krivitsky. And we had another one recently out with Daniel Vaughan, whose name I mispronounced Vaughn in the podcast. A really great, really smart author writing about AI and programming and Codex CLI and stuff like that. So you'll find great podcast videos, book launch videos, things like that on our YouTube channel at Leanpub. Yeah, and if you have any suggestions for things you'd like me to talk about, if you're a Leanpub author or a prospective Leanpub author on these tips of the day, please just reach out to me. I'm pretty easy to find. You can also email the team at hello@leanpub.com with your suggestion. And as I always like to say too about this, it's perfectly okay to suggest that I talk about something again if there's something I missed or something else that you'd like me to talk about. So here we are approaching the 2-minute mark. So 3, 2, 1. Hi, everyone watching the recording of this live stream who've just jumped ahead to the 2-minute mark. Today, we're going to be talking about the Lean Publishing tip of the day of choosing a writing mode. Leanpub has a few different ways of actually writing and self-publishing books. They have different features. When you're at the selling level, when you've published your book, more or less, most of the features are kind of the same. You know, all the awesome things like coupon discount campaigns, opting into our discount sales, having a great looking landing page, being able to apply to do a free launch video for your book, stuff like that is all there. But it really does matter what you choose when it comes to using some of the more powerful Leanpub features, like translations and CourseAI and things like that. And so I just wanted to do a video where I talk about choosing a writing mode and what writing mode is right for you. Creating Leanpub books is really easy. And you can create more than one, so you can try out different writing modes if you want. Your book isn't automatically published or anything like that. We have a stealth mode that you can put your book in when you're testing it out if you're worried about kind of information leaking, although you wouldn't need to worry about that too much unless you're very famous, which would be great. But yeah. Let me just share another tab. So the way you create a book on Leanpub is you go to our homepage at leanpub.com. If you've already created an account, you'll see your avatar probably up there if you've added that. But at the top right is this escape hatch menu, as I like to call it. And even if you haven't created an account yet, you'll do that when you create a book. And you just click create a book. And you go to this simple form where you add a title. The publisher is by default Leanpub. That doesn't really have any kind of formal meaning. That's just that there are publisher accounts on Leanpub. So if you have a publisher account, you would be able to select it. I've got a bunch of kind of fake ones set up here for demo purposes, but that's all that really means. And then when you type in a title, we automatically suggest a book URL. You can change the title or the URL for the book landing page later, where people are going to be buying your book, and you can choose the language. We have lots of different languages to choose from. But what we're talking about today is the writing mode. So by default, what is selected is the plain text editor, which is where you write in your browser. And if you click there, you'll see there's various options: plain text editor, GitHub, Dropbox, upload, and visual editor beta, which I'll talk about at the end. The plain text or in browser editor is free. The upload mode is free. And I believe the visual editor mode is currently free. It will be free, definitely. But GitHub and Dropbox, because they involve sort of third-party integrations and stuff like that, you actually need a paid author account, an AuthorPro or an Author Max account. We recommend that if you're gonna be self-publishing, if you're gonna be using Leanpub to write and publish books, we definitely recommend you get basically paid lifetime accounts. They unlock some features and stuff like that. It's really worth it. I mean, we wouldn't have paid author memberships if we didn't think they were worth it. So I highly recommend you check that out. And you can find that, you just to show you where that is, you can find that on if you click the authors tab at the top, you can read about the amazing features and stuff that you get. And we have monthly, annual, and lifetime plans. But yeah, just going back to that form, when you create a book, you have these writing mode options. I'm not going to be demoing. There's not enough time in a sort of like 14.5-minute format for these live streams for me to go over, like, sort of do a demo of each of these things. If you're interested in that, we actually have new Leanpub events, including the book workshop, where we actually do go through all of those things. So if you're interested in, like, actually it's like having Peter and me talk with you over Zoom, or talk about this kind of ourselves live for 3 hours on the weekend, I definitely recommend you sign up. You can get free tickets. You can get pro tickets. Pro tickets give you discounts on other workshops, but more importantly, on pro author membership. So if you were thinking of getting a pro author membership anyway, this is kind of a way of getting a discount whether you attend or not. You'll actually get a discount on the 1-year pro membership, and you can find this by clicking events at the top of the page. But unfortunately, I digress. Let's go back one more time to the form. So the plain text editor is where you write in the browser. I'll talk about that in a sec, but first I want to talk about the upload writing mode. If you choose that, what you will do, I'll show you, and we have complete tutorials for all of these writing modes. So, you don't need to kind of memorize everything I do in this video or anything like that. You can go step by step through these tutorials. We've done a redesign recently, so some of the pages will look a little bit different, but the process is basically the same, and almost certainly better than the way it currently looks in these tutorials. But basically, when you create an upload writing mode book, you just go straight to the upload your book section, and you just upload your book. This is for people who are kind of picky about how they produce their EPUB and PDF files, or for people who have already published on somewhere else, like on Amazon KDP or Ingram Spark, and you're like, oh, I want to try out this Leanpub platform that I've heard about. I've heard I might make more money there. You'll almost certainly make more money per sale on Leanpub than you will on other platforms, or like self-publishing platforms like KDP and stuff like that. So the upload mode is actually relatively simple. You upload your book, you sort of add your about the book information and your book teaser, and sort of fill out your author profile and stuff like that. Hit the publish button, select some prices and stuff like that, and away you go. So that's our simplest writing mode. The most popular writing mode, however, is our browser writing mode. In the browser writing mode, you create a book, you select the browser, or you select the sort of, currently it says plain text editor. And basically what you'll get in that case is you'll go straight to the write tab, which is your actual book manuscript. Right there, there you go. There will be some default information in there already. We'll automatically fire off and create a preview of the book from that manuscript, so that you can see the PDF and EPUB files that are created. And then you can just start by modifying the manuscript, delete everything that's there, type, # kind of space, your chapter heading, and you can type some words, and then you can go and create your own preview and see what it looks like. It's really that easy. You write in there, you write in plain text. Sometimes this can seem a bit intimidating to people who aren't familiar with it. That's totally, obviously, that totally makes sense. The funny thing about it is that it's like what you need to learn to write a kind of novel, for example, is like that you type a number sign in space to make a chapter heading, and you surround words in asterisks if you want italics. And basically, like, since chapter headings and italics are basically the only formatting that happens in most novels, that's all you need to learn. It's dead simple to do that. Obviously, there's a lot more, though, that goes into sort of particularly nonfiction books, and Markua, which is our Markdown for books, which is a plain text formatting thing for writing. It covers a lot of ground. You can of course, you can add images, you can create tables, you can have, if you're writing a programming book, you can have code samples, things like that, and it just gets kind of more complex from there. But if there's there's lots of, you can create an index, kind of, we have a feature for that, stuff like that. That's really cool. The main reason to do this the biggest difference between choosing one of our writing modes as we think of them, so the browser plain text writing mode, the GitHub writing mode, the Dropbox writing mode, or the beta visual editor, is that if you choose those writing modes, we kind of know your manuscript and it's in plain text, so that just unlocks a lot of magical things that we can do with it. You can use, if you've written a nonfiction book, you can just click a button and use our CourseAI feature to create an online course that people can use, can buy, typically for some multiple, like 5 to 10 times the value of your book. And that's because it's probably a corporate training budget or something like that that's being spent on the course. If we have your manuscript in, our Markdown for Books format, we can just magically create. I mean, it's hard work, and we did a lot of, you know, uh, sort of design and sort of like iterating on that. But you can actually just click a button and create an online course from your book. You can actually translate into up to 31 languages, I think it is. And then there's just like, that's just really amazing. You can do one language at a time, etc. Yeah, so I mean, we highly recommend that if you haven't written your book already, you haven't already created a PDF, like an ebook file, we definitely recommend that you try writing your book in Leanpub, as it were. The next writing mode is the Git and GitHub writing mode. So if words like Git and names like Git and GitHub don't make any sense to you, don't really worry about it. Unless you want to learn them, and I would recommend you try. That you don't need to learn them. But if you do know what Git and GitHub is, and you're a programmer, then you're gonna be like, oh my god, Leanpub built a way to make books in Git and GitHub. We actually did. It is relatively simple. Again, you write in plain text and files on a repo on your computer, we even have an API and stuff like that. So again, if that doesn't make any sense to you, don't worry about it. But if it does, you'll be like, oh my goodness, I can write a book on Git on GitHub using an API to preview and publish and stuff like that. So that's pretty amazing. We also have a Dropbox writing mode. This is basically typically for people who kind of aren't programmers, but they like file sharing and they want to write on their computer, not in the browser window, and they want to write in files on their computer that they know and control and more directly than usual, and stuff like that. So the Dropbox writing mode is great for you if that's what you're interested in. Let me go back to here. So let me show you. Let me see if this. Hopefully, we're demoing live our visual editor. This is actually going to be updated, I think, next week with a big update. So it's going to get a lot better. But let me just show you our magical. Oh, right. I need to make a title. Demo book. Visual editor 1. There we go. Next. Good for books to have titles, I guess. So here we are, just taking a moment for Leanpub to do its magic and create this book. So like I was showing you in the tutorial for the browser writing mode, you can write in plain text in Markua, which is our Markdown for Books, where you have to type the pound sign or the number sign and then space to do a chapter heading. But in our visual editor mode, it's basically more or less works like Word and Pages and stuff like that, right? So if you select this text, you can see it's a chapter heading. You could change it to something else if you wanted to. I could select this text and make it a section heading. I can select this text and make it a subsection heading. I could create bulleted lists if I want. I mentioned something about using asterisks to make italics. If you don't like that, you can just click the I here, or Command I, in the visual editor, and you can do all the formatting that you want there, and then create books the way you sort of normally would. But you can create books from a file, from a kind of manuscript mode that looks and feels familiar to people who are familiar with things like Word and Pages. So just going back for a second briefly to here's the corresponding blog post for this that you can find on our blog at leanpub.com/blog. So that's a sort of quick overview of our writing modes. You can find links to all those tutorials in the blog post that I was just showing you. That's on our blog at leanpub.com/blog. If you want to watch more of these videos, if we want to watch this full video, if you came in late, you can find it on our YouTube channel at Leanpub, and you'll find lots more videos that are tips of the day videos and sort of new release and podcast videos and stuff like that. So I hope you learned a little bit today. If you have any questions, reach out to us. We're easy to find on social media and elsewhere. Thanks.